this computer. All right, okay. All right, good evening, everybody. Every Wednesday night, we gonna have a special, always have a special, unique training or seminar on services or products. And I am excited tonight to bring you um, I would say, car insurance or PNC that help to save you a tons of money. And to me, it's a very innovative product. And again, um, we'll introduce you you know, the expert tonight with the company called Good Driver Mutuality. And no further ado, I was talking to with him, and I like the way he do business, his work ethics, and also his sincere. And I believe that this would help us to help our clients because we also have a PNC, department. Um, so no further ado, I would like to introduce you to Brigham. What's your last name? Forgive me. Uh,
Iraeta.
Ereta. Okay. Is that like Brazil or
It's
last name?
actually a Basque name. So from, it's an area between France and Spain. And
Oh,
it's a really interesting group of people. In fact, they have their own language, and it's the only language that can't really be traced to any of the common roots. Nobody knows where it came from.
all right. Okay. Iberta.
Interesting
All
stuff.
right.
But yeah, but thank you,
Take
Andrew. I
it
really
away.
appreciate you having me on.
Yep.
All right. So it's okay if I share the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Can share the screen. Let me stop first. Okay.
You see? Oh, okay. Let me pick up from
Yeah.
right here. Excellent. Well, again, thank you, Andrew, for the privilege and the honor to come and share our message here with everybody. And it's nice meeting everybody, even if it's just through Zoom for right now. I really do hope that eventually I get to meet you all in person. It would be my pleasure. I love making friends, and I love meeting people. So, like Andrew said, my name is Brigham Iraeta. I work for Good Driver Mutuality, and we really are different. And we're making a lot of inroads in the auto industry, or I'm sorry, in the auto insurance industry, specifically because we do have a better way of doing business. And I am convinced that by the time that we're done, you'll see where there's so much value in what we do, not only in how we're able to save people money, but in the ways that we can actually change the industry forever. So let me propose this, the situation to you. Okay. Imagine if your auto insurance company only charged you a small percentage to get started, to join, and then you only had to pay when somebody in the community actually has an accident. So forget about, preset, amounts to pay. Forget about scheduled monthly payments. Only when somebody has an accident, and then you only contribute a little bit at a time. Doesn't it seem like a much better way? I think so too. And that is the exact same concept that we are driving at Good Driver Mutuality. You may have noticed this, but over the last 4 years, your auto insurance premiums have about doubled. In some cases, maybe a little bit more, which is crazy because 94% of the people that drive with insurance don't make a claim, right? Obviously, it's not the same 94% all the time, but year in and year out, 94% of the people don't use their insurance company. So then why, I'm a good driver. I don't cost any money to my insurance company, and I'm sure that you guys don't either. So why is it then that over the last 4 years, our premiums continue to rise to where it's doubled? Okay, it doesn't seem right and it doesn't seem fair. Good drivers, safe drivers should be able, to have claim to some benefit, right? And it's not just because you got to plug in this little machine, they'll give a small discount. We should be able to save a lot more. And so, yes, we are a good driver. We have solved the problem of the rising cost of auto insurance, and we can save you up to 40% on the cost of collision and comprehensive that you carry right now. And I'm gonna start just by giving you a little bit of details as to what it is, how it is that we save you money, what we do and how we do it. So number one, we are a financial technology company. At the heart of hearts, we're not an insurance company. We are not insurance. Okay, we're a financial technology company, but we have this mechanism by which we are able to bring you at least half of what you're doing right now, which is collision and comprehensive, and save you a big chunk of money on that side, actually helping you save a good percentage of your monthly expenses. We're headquartered in Palo Alto. We have a service office in Virginia, and we're backed by Ribbit Capital and Hedo Sophia, a couple of venture capital firms. And for example, Rivet Capital is the same company that backed Credit Karma, Robinhood, Coinbase, Affirm, Plaid, the cryptocurrency Ethereum, Solana, some of the most popular, better known crypto coins out there, and also the platform Wealthfront. And the Wealthfront is an impactful wealth management platform. Again, they are all technology. We started about 2022 is when we really started going. We had to build the technology. We had to build a network of shops because we want to be the provider. We're not just going to sell you, the financial part of it. If you get in an accident, we'll fix your car and we'll pay for it. It's more than that. We want to be A to Z, and that's exactly what we have built. So we started by building, like I said, this technology, and we created an app infused with artificial intelligence, and it allows us to do everything through the app. You'll see in just a moment, but the wonderful thing about artificial intelligence is that it is able to do a lot of tasks in a better way, always accurate. It doesn't get distracted. It doesn't make some of those mistakes that usually humans do. And so imagine an app like Uber or an app for Airbnb, right? You don't have to talk to anybody ever. If you want to, if you want to get a ride, just pull out the app, press the buttons, make the request, and boom, there shows up your rider or your driver. So that's kind of the concept that we're trying to do here is that this app should be able to provide you with the things that you need when you are in need, especially with an accident. So it makes us less expensive. We are about half the cost of any insurance company out there. The other thing that we did is we built a network of repair shops. Again, we want to be A to Z. We want to take care of our clients. And so for that, we needed access to a huge network all across the US. We are over 5,000 strong. And the reason why this matters is because we're able to keep the cost of repair low. A lot of people say, well, I don't care how much, the shop charges because the insurance company is the one that pays for it. As long as I pay for my deductible and I'm paying my premiums, they'll pay whatever it is. And that is true. Okay, but the reason why the company or the insurance companies will pay whatever it costs them is because they'll simply tie it on to you and me next time we have to renew. And that's why, part anyways, part of the reason why the prices continue to rise, right? So keeping costs low is better for the community. So we have our own shops. So we're able to standardize service, cost, and we're even able to offer like a lifetime warranty on the work and even on some of the parts that we repair people's vehicles with. Okay. Now, speaking about, this concept of collision and comprehensive, I'm just gonna be reminding you every so often, collision and comprehensive is the part of your insurance that takes care of your vehicle when you hit someone and your car needs repair, or you hit something, maybe um, you know, the weather, right? Like I live in Utah, roads get icy. Sometimes you're being careful, you hit a patch of ice, you go sliding the wrong way, and you hit something, right? It wasn't really your fault, but your car still needs repair. So collision and comprehensive is what takes care of that. And we'll dive into it just a little bit more, but just so you understand kind of where we come from. So we have this amazing app. We have this, amazing network of shops. Then we put them together we ended up with an amazing alternative to collision and comprehensive. We made it available to all of our clients. And now what we're doing is we are growing a cost sharing community. And when you think of cost sharing community, think of crowdfunding, but structured, disciplined, committed, much like the concept of meta share in the healthcare world, right? Where people come together and they sort of insure each other. We're doing the same thing, but with the auto insurance industry. And we are the only ones. Okay, there's nobody else out there that's really doing this, and definitely not the way that we're doing it. It is just so much better. And so by using this concept, we are helping each other save a ton of money. Now, like I said, our app is at the center of everything. Joining the community is super easy. And we want you to help us grow the community. Join us and tell others about it because the bigger we are, the stronger we are, the better we can change everything. We are going to literally show the institutions that when we as people come together, there's nothing that we cannot do. And yes, even replace some of these insurance companies if they don't change the way that they treat us. Lately, we've seen that uh, temperaments have been running hot towards the insurance companies because of the things that they deny when people feel justified in making certain claims, right? And they're paying every single month. They're counting that when the moment happens, that they will be there to answer the call, and they are not. So again, things are really at a boiling point right now. What better way to send a message that things need to change than to take matters into our own hands? And the concept of community, this mutuality is doing it. So you join through our community. I'm sorry, you join our community through our app. You just download it, create an account. We use your declarations page from your auto insurance company to give you a competitive quote, and then on top of that, we end up saving you 40%. So everything happens, inside the app, from reporting an incident. So if you ever have an accident, you need to report it. You just get the app out, follow the steps. It tells you everything that you need to do. If there's photos to take, you do it right there. Then the report immediately runs over it, or it gets sent to our offices in Virginia. And then we go to work. You get a call back. They'll tell you what to do, take you by the hand, A to Z. So it really is a better plan all around, guys. And we get it. We have to be better because we're new, because we're different. We can't afford to simply meet the status quo. We have to be better at every part, at every point. Things like giving you better service, making things quicker. We are twice as quick as any insurance company in getting you back on the road. Again, we treat you better. We offer these lifetime warranties because we have to be better. If something happens and you have to use your plan, we don't run over to the insurance company and say, "Hey, Andrew just came to us because he needed to repair his car, just FYI." We don't have to report those things, right? It's just you and me. So there's so many reasons why using a mutuality for your collision and comprehensive is better. Now, as you can imagine, when we're talking about a community, so we have this ideal profile for a customer, if you will. And in order for people to benefit the most out of it, for us to be able to save people money, the ideal situation is going to be that somebody who has their vehicle completely paid off, that's not too old, between 15 and 20 years old at the most. Um, and depending on the brand and the make, okay? Vehicles that aren't more expensive than $100,000 of original sales price. Not how much you pay for it a couple of years later, or somebody paid for it a couple of years later, but the original price. Because when it comes to repairing vehicles, it doesn't matter how much the second sale or the third sale happened for. The vehicle costs to repair what it costs to repair. It has to be for personal use. Okay, nothing commercial, nothing that spends a lot of time on the road, no ride sharing, no gig working like DoorDash. And you can understand more time on the road means more exposure, higher risk. And because we are a community, right, we are subsidizing each other's accidents. We need to do our best to protect the community and keep those risks at a minimum. Also, if it's a car for personal use, it can't drive more than 30,000 miles per year. Same same deal, a lot of time on the road. So we're going for that 94%, right? Again, we're not saying we're going to restrict it so much. We're just going after that 94% of people who are good drivers that year in and year out don't have accidents. And even with all this, there's still 140 million people on the road that would qualify for a good driver plan right now. So at the end of it all, every 6 months, just like with your insurance company, every 6 months when you renew, we're saving people about 40%, in some cases much more, on the cost of collision and comprehensive compared to a traditional insurance plan. And it's not magic. I just shared how we do it. We have less overhead. We have lower repairs. We have better and safer drivers. We have low risk vehicles, vehicles that aren't too expensive to fix. And then we use this concept of weekly sharing instead of full premium payments. And even though there's, the expectation can fluctuate, when do I share? If it's weekly, when do I share? How often? Overall, you're going to see how much sense it makes. And when you see the way that it saves you money, you'll never want to do anything in any other way ever again. So I'm just going to reiterate, we're not an insurance company. Okay, we are a mutuality. Okay, we are a community of people that are committed to helping each other when the need arises. So let's review really fast. And guys, this is going to be very, very helpful. I've done life and health insurance in the past. I wasn't very good, but I did it for a few years, and I learned a lot. But it didn't really help me when it came to auto insurance. I still had to learn a lot when I started working with Good Driver Mutuality. So let me just break it down really quick. So liability and other coverages, right? That liability is what helps to pay for somebody else's vehicle when you hit them, right? Or when I hit them. If I hit somebody, I don't have to come out of pocket for those repairs. My insurance takes care of that. But also to that, you can have other things like roadside assistance or uninsured motorist insurance, right? So if somebody hits you and they don't have liability, you're still covered, right? So we don't do any of those things. What we do is the collision and comprehensive part. These are the damages that happen to your vehicle in an accident where it's your fault. Okay. And it's usually a collision incident. You hit someone or you hit something. But there are also other situations where it's not your fault. And in fact, it's nobody's fault, such as natural disasters. Let's say you're parked under a tree and strong wind comes over. It happened to us about 3 years ago here in Utah, of all places. We had these microbursts and it picked up trees, it broke branches, it knocked down fences. And if a vehicle had been under one of those trees when that happened and the tree had fallen on the vehicle, there would have been some serious damage. But who do you blame? Like, there's no other driver. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't anybody else's fault. It was Mother Nature's fault, but she doesn't carry insurance. However, through comprehensive, some of those things that aren't your fault, but they still need repair, come to the rescue. Like I said, natural disasters, vandalism, theft, fire, right? So yeah, if your vehicle is a victim of a fire, it happens, or a flood, and again, if your car gets stolen, comprehensive is what takes care of those things. So it's not just that you're a good driver, so I don't need, comprehensive because I'm never gonna hit anybody, right? It's really a way to protect yourself against things outside of your control. So collision and comprehensive is what we do at Good Driver. And the reason why I have it in this image is because collision and comprehensive tends to be about 40 to 50% of your monthly payment or of your 6 month premium, however it is that you pay it. So it is a considerable amount that you're spending. So what we do is when your vehicle is paid off, we just say, look, get your Good Driver Mutuality plan, call your agent from your auto insurance company and say, hey, I want to get rid of my collision and comprehensive. Oh, and also auto transportation or car rental. Because when your car is on the shop, you're going to need a way to get around, right? So, and that's something that we also do. So collision comprehensive and auto rental, I just want to remove those. Okay, you remove them, and then you're gonna have this setup of half insurance and half good driver. And now you're on your way to save. Now, why is it that you can save? It's because the way that we do it is much different. Like I said, we use your declarations page to give you a quote. Our AI, when you upload the declarations page, our AI reads everything in your declarations page as far as what you're spending on. It makes sure that you have liability insurance, because if you don't have liability insurance, we can't help you. Okay, it's against the law driving without liability insurance. And again, we believe in doing the right thing, and so we're going to encourage everybody to do the same. So if you want to save money, you got to have liability insurance at least. Um, so anyway, so you upload the declarations page, and then we'll give you an apples to apples quote. If you're paying $500 for collision and comprehensive, then that's exactly what we're gonna do, and we're gonna again match everything that you have in there to make sure that you're not missing out on anything, but we're also not adding anything that you maybe you don't want. And so we grab these two quotes with your insurance company. if it says $500, at the end of 6 months, you will pay $500, guaranteed. No questions, no ifs or buts. Even if your car is, sitting in your garage for the next 6 months, you are going to pay $500, right? But with us, we're going to give you a quote of $500. But to get started, all you do is you pay 20% of that quote. In this case, $100. So this is all the money that we receive a good driver. Okay, that's our operational cost. Okay, as soon as you do that, your plan is active, and if something happens, then you're going to have a plan that can get your car repaired. And then there's this $400, right? The other 80%. Okay, this is called a pledge amount. And the pledge amount, you don't pay it to us up front. Okay. In fact, you don't really pay it to anybody at any point. What you do is you put it to the side. You can set it up on a side bank account and just leave it there. And throughout the next 6 months, when somebody in the community has an accident, good driver withdraws a small percentage of that pledge amount to help repair the damages to somebody else's vehicle. Okay, and we're going to go into also how that works. Every week when there's an accident, we grab a small percentage, we contribute to people's repairs, and then we sit and wait until there's another one again. But again, because we're going after good drivers, the 94%, yeah, there might be weeks when there's, accidents back to back, but there might be many weeks when there's no accidents, right? And so there's nothing to contribute. It is such a smart, it's fair, right? Like so what if it's smart? It's fair. Okay, it is smart though. So just to give it a little bit more visual. No accidents, no need to contribute. Guys, we have had, weeks when we've gone, 4 or 5 weeks without having to contribute anything at all. And then maybe we contribute the next week and then a couple more weeks and nothing gets contributed, right? Another reason why this is so much more fair is because not all accidents are the same. A couple of weeks ago, we had a situation where a rather expensive vehicle was totaled during the accident. But we also had weeks when there's two vehicles damaged, right? Two vehicles make a claim and it's less than $6,000. So uh, not all accidents are the same. And so it makes sense that when there's small accidents, we only contribute, a couple of dollars. And then when there's bigger accidents, yeah, we may have to do a little bit more, right? It's simply more fair. And over the 6 months, using this, fair, smart system is how we end up saving 40% of the quote that we received. So just give an example. You would have paid $500 to your insurance company. But what you did is you paid $100 to get started with good driver. Then you put $400 in the bank, right? And over the next 6 months, yeah, we withdraw a little bit here, a little bit there. And and again, we've done the analysis. We've run pilot programs. Okay, the statistics work every time. People end up contributing about half of their pledge amount that's sitting in the bank. So you pay 20 to get started. You pay another 40%, throughout the next 6 months, which out of $500, that would be 300. So at the end of 6 months, that will leave you with $200 in the bank. That's your savings. You can use that when you're running your plan, and you leave it there for the next round, whatever you want. But that's your savings. Okay. I'm gonna give you an example here in just a moment, and it's gonna be a real life example. So I just want you to memorize this image right here, okay? Because this is the before and after. Before, whatever you saw in your policy, that's how much you would have paid, okay? With us, okay, again, we can't save you money on liability yet, but we're saving you 40% on the good driver side of things. Okay? That for somebody that's paying half and half in the cost, that can be 20% savings. Okay, and just to be transparent, over the last 6 months, people have been actually saving over 60%, which for most people has amounted to 30% savings. It's just a smarter way. So this is the real life example. Okay, this gentleman. Oh, let me see. Looks like somebody's got their microphone on. Let's see, Andrew. Are you able to mute that microphone, Andrew? Thank you very much. Awesome. Okay, so this is a real example. Accident-free driver with us. Their mutuality plan quote, so what they were paying with their insurance was 1,036 every 6 months. Okay, it's it gets to be a lot, 1,036. Maybe they had some really nice vehicles. So when they started, they paid their 20%, which was $207. And then they put 829 in a in a side bank account where every time somebody had an accident, we withdrew from there. So over the next 6 months, this person only ended up contributing $162 out of the 829. So it ended up saving him $663 over those next 6 months, effectively saving him 64% of his collision and comprehensive plan had he stayed with his insurance company. So for somebody like him, we're actually saving him over $1,200 a year. Why? Because he's a good driver. There were no accidents, right? And that's the whole point of this. If there's no accidents, we should be able to save. Safe drivers save big. That's what we like to say here at Good Driver. Now let's go to the other side of it. What if this gentleman had gotten in an accident? Okay, well, in that case, it works very much like insurance. Guys, we are better than insurance, but the processes tend to be very much the same. Okay. Um, when you come in and you pay your 20% for to activate your plan, you're gonna choose your deductible. And just like insurance, you choose 250, 500, or $1,000. Now, we don't like to call it deductible because that's an insurance company term, and we just don't want to be misleading. We want to be upfront with people. We're not an insurance company, so we try to use different terms. And the term that we use is out of pocket. Okay, so in this case, let's say this gentleman gets in an accident and his out of pocket, quote unquote, deductible was $500. Let's see, there we go. Okay, it works very much like insurance. Okay, insurance expects you to cover the rest of your premium, right? So you cover the rest of your quote. If it was $400 that you had left over to pay, then you pay the $400. Then you pay your deductible or your out of pocket. So let's say if no, let's say you chose 250. So you pay 250 plus 400, and then the community contributes to cover all the eligible repairs of your vehicle. Doesn't matter if it's $1,000 or $10,000. Okay, we all come in and take care of it because that's the commitment that we've made. So once again, after you cover your pledge amount in your out of pocket, the community contributes to cover all the eligible repairs. Okay. So again, how do we save you 40%? Well, again, 65%, like in my personal case, because we have less overhead. We have lower repair costs. No, we are better, safer drivers. That's what we're going for. We have low risk vehicles that aren't expensive to fix. Um, yeah, just low risk. And then using the weekly sharing, right? We only share when there's a need and only according to the need rather than preset full premiums, regardless of who gets in an accident, how much it costs, and how good of a driver you are. So, what's the next step? Download the app, take it for a test drive. It doesn't cost you anything. It is absolutely commitment free, right? There's no commitment. Just try it out. But step into the future. See how things will work in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, especially when Good Driver changes everything. Because guys, eventually we want to do liability insurance. We just gotta grow a little bit more. We gotta be recognized a little bit more. And we're gonna be able to do liability insurance. Imagine what's gonna happen when we go out there and say, hey, can we just save you 40% on your entire bill, regardless of what you're paying right now? Can we save you 40% on that? Guys, it's going to be amazing. We're going to clean house. And again, the big institutions will have to change the way they think and they treat their customers, or we're simply not going to leave anything out, anything for them. And it's going to be amazing. So that is how we do things. There is a way that you can grab this concept and actually use it to cushion your economy. We have a compensation plan for those that want to share, that want to help us grow the community. We have some financial incentives, and I would love to tell you about that. But before I move on, if it's okay, Andrew, I would like to allow maybe 3, 4 minutes for some questions.
I just have a question. I'm not very familiar with auto insurance because I don't take care of that part in
Mhm.
our family. But what I'm understanding is there like two parts of insurance? One is like liability, and then there's another part to insurance, and we're just taking the liability and transferring it over to this program.
Correct. So there are two parts. So liability, that's what pays for the vehicle that you damage when you hit them. So if you hit a stranger on the road, and their car is, badly damaged, if you don't have liability insurance, number one, you might be in trouble with the law. But number two, you personally would be liable for all the expenses to fix that car. When you have liability insurance, they pay for that. But when you hit a vehicle, usually your car gets damaged too. And if you don't have collision and comprehensive, the cost of repairing your vehicle actually run out of your own pocket. So liability takes care of somebody else's property, and collision and comprehensive takes care of our property. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that I get. And then so what that is just for the vehicle itself. What about body injuries?
So body injuries and everything like that, it runs through the liability side of things. That those are actual insurance products. So when you replace collision and comprehensive with good driver, we don't touch anything on that side of liability. That's why when you call your agent, all you say is, I just want to get rid of liability and comprehensive and car rental. Everything else, leave it the same. But it's also a great opportunity for you to review your policy with them, because there might be some things that you think you have and you don't. Something like roadside assistance. We recently had an incident that's similar to that, and they thought they had it, but they didn't, and they needed it, and it's so inexpensive to have. So yeah, review it, but you only replace, collision, comprehensive, and auto rental. Does that make sense?
Got it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And a question that comes up every so often is, okay, what are the limits? Like what limits do you guys offer? Again, that's also on the liability side, right? Because we're worried that what we carry in insurance is enough to subsidize the damages that we make. Um, on the collision and comprehensive, there's no such thing because it's only for your vehicle, and your vehicle is worth what it's worth. At some point, the repairs to it might be more than the car present value is worth, or if the car is hit hard enough and it's deemed salvaged, a wreck, you can't take it home with you, then it's we simply we total it, and we pay for that. So that's why there's no limits on the collision and comprehensive side, because it's just whatever the car is worth.
Also, what was the requirements? I missed that part. They have to have the car payout.
Yes, so ideally, for people to save money, the vehicle has to be paid off, because if it's not paid off, if it's still being financed or it's leased, then the finance company, with the bank, whoever has a lien on for the loan, they won't let you get a collision and comprehensive from anybody else if it's not an actual insurance company. And if you try to cancel it, it could create a lot of troubles that's just is not worth it. So for us to save people money, we've got to be able to remove that collision and comprehensive without any issues to the driver.
And then what was the year? Was there a minimum on the year?
Yeah, so the maximum, there's no minimums, but the maximum is 20 years old. Some brands, 15 years old. And the only reason why is because as cars get old, the parts that they require to be fixed, they start to run out of circulation. And so it becomes really hard or really expensive to find them. And so if we can't do it at a reasonable price, or we can't guarantee the repair, like we won't keep your car in the shop for 2 months just because we're waiting on a bumper. So we just rather say, you know what, after this, after 20 years, it just gets too difficult. So let's not. Now, if your car is 18 years old and it qualifies, right, and you're like, oh, I only have 2 years, of it, or if it's 19 years old, I only have a year left, we'll grandfather you for 3 years. So technically, your car could be 22 years old and it still be in the program. But if it's more than 20 years old when it applies, it likely will get rejected. So I hope that makes sense. It's a great question.
So this program doesn't really, as long as you qualify for those two things, and it doesn't matter if you're a new driver, like a young driver, like a youth, or people that
No.
just started driving.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really matter. You
Mhm.
you can be part of the community. Obviously, a youth is going to be a little bit, more expensive, when you get your quote. But because you only start with 20%, it's still cheaper than going through regular insurance. And again, because throughout the next 6 months you end up saving 40%, it's still going to be less than going with just regular collision and comprehensive through insurance. Quite likely much more or less. All right. Miss Jackie, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. I just have a question about when you go to actually do the repairs, do they use original the OEM parts for
Oh,
the car?
that is such a good question. I'm glad that you brought it up. And by the way, I'm really sorry for the loss of your aunt. Hope that everything works out.
Thank
But
you.
yeah. So fantastic question. So when we need to, we actually do use OEM parts. But what we do in most cases is we actually buy parts from the manufacturer before they brand them. OEM parts, all it is a part branded with with Toyota or Nissan, whatever that is. But the reality is that there are manufacturers that make those parts for many different brands, and they create what they call generic aftermarket alternative parts. And they call them that because they can't call them OEM because it doesn't have a logo, but it's the exact same part. In fact, David, our director of operations, has worked on the adjustment, back on the behind the scenes of insurance and auto insurance specifically for 30 years. And he says, he's been at the manufacturing plants where, they're printing, for example, headlights for Toyota, right? They're printing and printing and printing them, and then at some point they just stop. They remove the branding, component of the assembly line, and then they keep going. So those are called alternative parts. Now, the cool thing about that is that it's the exact same make, the exact same quality, but usually we can get them for up to half of the cost, what you would pay at a dealership. And usually those also come with a lifetime warranty. And it doesn't mean that you just at any moment you're gonna come and replace them, right? Because tear and wear, I mean, sorry, wear and tear isn't covered. But let's say, a bumper was used to fix your vehicle, and the bumper 2 years later just falls off. And we can see that it was a defective part, like not wear and tear, but it was actually a defective part. Then it'll just get replaced. Same thing with with the paint in your vehicle, because it is a lifetime warranty. If 5 years later the paint starts to chip off, you let us know. We find the closest shop to you. You take it in, and they'll repaint the area where the repairs happen at no cost to you. And if you move, maybe you're in California right now, but you move to, I don't know, Colorado, and this happens in Colorado, your bumper falls off and it was defective, we're going to find you a shop near you in Colorado, and they will honor this lifetime warranty. So yeah, OEM parts, not necessarily the only option out there for a pre-accident condition repair. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Then if I missed it, I apologize. So what happens if you get in an accident? I've noticed now what they're doing now from the insurance side is that they're just totaling the cars out. So what happens if I participate, my car is paid off, and I get in an accident and the insurance company totals it out for a total loss?
So again, with insurance companies, sometimes they'll do what they do. With us, the first thing that we're gonna do is, can it be repaired? Sometimes when it comes to deeming a car totaled, the insurance, even the insurance company, are tied by each state, because each state has different requirements to where what's considered a total. For some, it's damage to the structure of the vehicle, but in some states, if you're let's say there's a flood and water actually seeps into your vehicle, even if it's just at the bottom, like nothing, there's nothing on the seats, just at the very bottom. In some states, that actually will be considered a totaling event. It gets a little bit hard to repair a car from those situations, because water gets in places that sometimes you just can't get to, so rust and things begin to happen. And so in some states it'll actually be considered a totaling event even if the car is completely fine. If that's what the state says, then insurances have to abide by that. So we are subject to some of those laws. But if at all possible, we are going to go for the repair first. And if we have no option, then we'll look at totaling the vehicle. And when that happens, we give you the money. We take the salvage, or the vehicle. It is really cool, Miss Jackie. You're gonna like this. So we take the vehicle, but we don't just sell it and keep the change. We actually take it to auction, try to get as much money as we can, and whatever money we get from it, we bring it back to the community, so that if there's an incident or an accident next week, instead of the community having to fork out, for that accident, that money subsidizes as much as possible from the next accident, and then the community may not have to, pay anything. We just had that happen a couple of weeks ago with that expensive Mercedes that was totaled. Yeah, we had to share a little bit more than usual because it was an expensive car, but we got about $20,000 out of auction. So when the next event happened, again, two vehicles, less than $6,000 in repairs, the community didn't have to pay anything because the salvage auction actually subsidized those repairs. And there's a little bit of money left over, so we didn't have any accidents, last week. There hasn't been any accidents this week. So whenever there's an accident again, there's some money left over, and it might cover everything. It may not, but we're always doing everything that we can to look out for the community.
Just so that I can understand. So the Mercedes got totaled out. You guys paid him out.
Yeah,
You guys,
as a
okay.
community, right? So, because there's nothing to repair, so we pay him the value of the vehicle. Well, again, but it's present value, right? It's market value. It's not what whatever they think that it should be worth. We run comparisons and then we pay him out. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. So maybe the Mercedes might have, I'm hoping it was this was the situation, but the Mercedes, to him, maybe he paid $50,000 for it. But if it was only worth 35,000 at the time of the event, then the community pitches in, we give him the 35, and then yeah, we take the vehicle, we auction it, and we put that money back into the community, so that they don't have to subsidize the next one. Fantastic questions. All right, I'm sure
Can I
there'll be. Oh, go ahead.
could I make a quick comment?
Oh yeah, and go ahead.
Okay, I want to go back to the where you're talking about how the parts, how they just make them all and they're just stamping, say Ford, Chrysler, whatever on the part. It's no different. I go way back. I don't want to say how far back, but I used to work in produce canneries, companies where they were, canning, like, let's say tomato sauce. And the assembly line, here comes Del Monte. Oh, that's all we're labeling is Del Monte from all the same tomato sauce. Then they stop it and they say, okay, change the label. Now this is for Whole Foods, say. And then they start labeling the rest of the cans Whole Food. It's the same principle.
Yeah, it
It's the
is.
same stuff. They just change the label as they go along.
Yeah. Costco is, popular for that. You can get some Kirkland Costco brands that are really high quality, and we think it's just generic, but in reality, they're just, white labeling other high quality products. So yeah, thank you for that, Anna. Okay, so I'm gonna run really quick through the compensation part of it, slash business opportunity. So what makes this kind of interesting for everybody that wants to grab this and use it as part of your business? Number one, yes, you can go to people and free up some cash flow for them. In the case of this gentleman that was saving $600, or $660 every 6 months, um, that's a nice chunk of change, right? But for some people, you may only be able to free up, $30, $40 a month, depends on how much they're paying. But that's something that you can take and move it around depending on the type of life, insurance product or other insurance products that you sell, you might be able to free up some cash and put them in a more appropriate, product for them now. So that's one way of looking at it as an advantage. But we also do pay you for helping us grow the community. Now, there's no licensing required because we're not an insurance company, right? There's no licensing for you, and you don't need to be licensed for us to pay you. It is available nationwide. There's only 3 states where we can't actually sell it: Hawaii and Alaska, and that's more of a infrastructure, distance. And then New York, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. And there's a couple of funny laws there locally that don't make it worth us, enrolling people. However, we have shops in all of those areas. If something happens to you, maybe you enrolled in Connecticut, driving through Rhode Island, and you hit someone, and your car gets ruined. We have shops in the area where you would be able to access your plan. We just can't enroll their residents. Market exclusivity. Like I said before, nobody else is doing this in the auto industry right now, in the insurance industry. Nobody. And if anybody wanted to, and they saw this and they go, my gosh, this is so smart. Why didn't anybody think of this before? They still be 3 or 4 years away from being able to enroll the first person. How do I know that? Because it took us nearly 3 years for us to do it. And our founder, William, too, he's been working on this idea for 10 years and he's tried it before. He's tried it twice before. So he knows everything there is to know about this concept. And even with that, it took almost 3 years before we could enroll the first person because we needed to get the technology right. We needed to get the relationships uh, with the shops right. So we have a huge potential there with market exclusivity. 140 million vehicles on the road right now qualify for a good driver plan. Expansion potential because we really are rather new. We have about 3,000 people in the community out of the 140 million that we can bring in. And we do have excellent compensation. So let me move into that part. So there's a lot of ways to earn money with good driver mutuality. Okay, I'm not going to go into details just for the sake of time, but I would love to tell you about our fast start bonuses, bonus pools where a part of all the revenue, gets into this pot and everybody that qualifies for it gets to partake. Statewide overrides and even renewals for everybody that you bring in. We do pay 10% of the quote that somebody receives when you help us bring him into the community. In the case of this gentleman, 1,036, the person that invited them were paid $100 for having brought him in. The process to enroll is really rather simple. It is app-based. So let's say you kind of struggle with the app or with the first time. If you have your declarations page, it'll take you 10 minutes. Even with some of the slowdowns, it'll take you 10 minutes to get through it. So a lot of people say, hey, $100 for 10 minutes of work is not bad compensation. The other part that we have is team building, and you actually get to earn overrides. Now, this is just a small sample. Okay, we don't stop at 3 levels of teams. We actually pay down to 9 levels of teams. But I'm just going to give you an idea of how powerful this can be, because we pay you based on quotes, not based on how much people end up paying. Okay, or the 20% to get started. No, we pay you if the quote was $1,000, we're gonna pay you $1,000. When you start working through the ranks and start building teams, we pay you out of your personal team 8% on anything that they sell. Okay, anything that they sell. And as you continue to grow, you start capturing some of these other, layers of levels. So a second level team, you get 5% of everything that they sell. Level 3 team, 3% of overrides on everything that they sell. So how does that translate into actual income? So let me show you. Let's say you, out of everybody that you bring in, 5 of them want to be affiliates and they want to go and promote. Like they see the potential behind this, and they're great salespeople, so they have a lot of contacts, and they can just go and absolutely just kill it. So let's say that these 5 affiliates are making 4 sales per month, and their average quote is $500. Just to get so you know, in California right now, the average per vehicle is $600. So this is even a little bit low, and that's per vehicle. So $500 per quote, 5 affiliates making 4 sales per month. That would pay you in overrides $800 every month that they do it. And so if these 5 affiliates go and collectively bring 25 affiliates, so you have a team of 30 people. These 25 affiliates are selling 4 programs per month, $500 per quote. It's $2,500 in commissions in overrides to you on top of the $800. So with a team of 30 people, everybody making 4 sales per month, you're earning around $3,300 in overrides. Okay. Now, if this just duplicates one more time and these 25 affiliates go and collectively bring 125 more, same deal, 4 sales per month, $500 per quote, then that would pay you $7,500 per month, okay, in overrides. And again, that's only through 3 levels. There's all the way down to 9. So it's a really great opportunity, not only for you to free up some cash and grow your right now business, but you can actually make some money while you will help us grow the community and earn more overrides. Another residual income stream for you if you start building teams with this. So everything starts with the app. Okay, download the app. Make sure that you get a referrer code. Okay, you're probably gonna get that from Andrew. A referral code so that you can go and play with the app. Get your declarations page so you can upload it, get your quote. At the end of the quote, you're gonna see a little button that says start with. Okay, regardless of how much your quote is. Okay, it says start with. That's the 20%, and that's what gets people. Okay, because they see, hey, my quote was $800 for the next 6 months, but to get started, I only had to pay 160. Awesome. So, again, pay attention to the numbers because it really is pretty cool. And as the interest grows and as you want to maybe take part of this, I do hold some classes that are just for enrollment, or I call it open enrollment, even though it's kind of silly, but that's what I call it, where I just sit at the computer and I help you get through the process so you can ask questions, we can get you enrolled, and I promise you the second time you do it is 100 times easier. So that is my message for everybody. I hope that you've learned something. I hope that you have seen the potential also with Good Driver, not only to save money and to help people, but also to help us grow the community. Mr. Andrew, I will turn it over back to you. Let's see.
All right. If anybody have any questions for Brigham, and go ahead and unmute yourself and ask. And then we'll give a minute or so, and then if not, Brigham will close the meeting.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Hi, Ann. Oh, I was just going to mention Brigham will usually, if let's say your group, they have their declaration pages and everything, he can also give them a Zoom training and walk them through, and they can all learn how to do their first quote on themselves.
Yeah,
Oh
absolutely.
yeah. You already told them the download the app and all that stuff. So download the app and then just upload the declaration page on your car insurance. That's
Yep.
the first thing you do, right?
Yeah, that's the first thing you do. Also, one thing that I'll mention is we have a feature in the app that's called Quote for a Friend. So if you ever run into somebody that you want to help, but maybe they're not so tech savvy, you can do a lot of the work for them, get it started, and they basically just, do a few last steps. They pay to enroll, and that's also something that's helped us a lot as far as getting people enrolled because some do struggle with technology a little bit, but they also deserve savings.
Yep. Also, they also know if those of you want to be part of promoting this program, then they have to get the link from me, right?
That is correct.
or on the app they're gonna put the pool sponsor, the name of the bus sponsor, right?
Yeah, that is correct. So because this is an invitation only community. Again, we want to protect the community, so it's invitation only. They'll get to a point where they'll need a referral code. They won't be able to finish enrolling without the referral code. So you'll need Andrew's referral code for that. So
All
it's a
right.
great point. Great
So,
point, Andrew. Thank you so much. And thank you again
all
for
right.
allowing me to share. It's really been an honor and my pleasure to do that.
All right. Appreciate it. If no one else have any questions, we'll close up tonight, and I'll see you to the next training. All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you, Brigham.
Thank you. It's so nice meeting you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Jackie, for the good questions as well.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Yeah, everybody have a good night.